Let's make it really simple, okay? The first part of any tier list. Should I do an intro in case I put this on YouTube? Hey, Jazzberry Jammers, what's going on? Welcome to a new tier list. I'm in 9.5. Jesus, I can't do this. Okay. I'm not doing that. We're just gonna let it roll. What an intro. That would have been, though. Good bit. It would be a good bit. Okay. What's up, gamers? Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy, PBM. You know, just really like YouTube meta it up. God, dude. You could really get devolved with it. This is for 9.5, every god, okay? And just imagine it like this. Like, Achilles, he's a warrior. This is a mage, he goes there. Hunter, up there. Mage, here. Warrior, here. Hunter, there. See? Very simple tier list. Ao Kuang, mage, but not really a mage. You know what I mean? And this is the tier list, the whole way through. Tier list. Arachne, assassin, she goes down here. Guardian, he's, you know, we're gonna get a starting point for all these characters, you know what I mean? Guardian. Do you guys want like a serious tier list, or are you starting to get what I'm saying here? You guys seeing what I'm saying here? Like, you guys want to see a solo lane tier list? Boom. Here, you want to see a support tier list? Boom. There it is. It's all the same. Does Al not go into the assassin section? Sure. But he's garbage. Okay, we'll do a serious tier list. It's going to take forever. I'm kind of putting it off because I'm dreading it. There we go. Okay. Achilles, unironically though, he's a warrior, B tier. Maybe I actually do want the other one. Achilles is a warrior, okay? So automatically, you want to start thinking, don't play at all costs. But here's what you think. Well, that's for solo lane warriors. But can he be played jungle or support maybe? Well, he maybe could be, so he could move up to D a little bit. And then you think, well, hold on. Everybody has more HP, which means executes are even better. Which means, okay, well, maybe he's not D. We'll put him in C. Not bad. That's a good start for him. You know, that's a good start. Agni. Moving on. Okay, so he's a mage. Automatically, that puts him on Achilles level, maybe higher. Here's the thing about Agni. He got hard nerfed. His clear is actually okay, not bad, and he kind of pumps damage. Not bad. We'll put him in B. Agni is like solid middle of the line character, you know. If he didn't get nerfed a couple patches back, he'd be better. AMC. Now, this is the starting point for hunters. This A tier right here, this is when you're like some of the strongest characters in the game. Hunters just have the best build path in the game. Not close, by the way. Really, not close. AMC also on this patch. More HP means harder to die early. Very good for immobile characters. You'll see that with, you know, gods like him, Apwash, Zeus, you know, all that. We're feeling nice about that. Feeling real nice about that. And yeah, he has really good clear, all that type of stuff. We're going to bump AMC up to S. Very build, what's the word I'm looking for? Ambiguous. How about that? You guys like that word? Ambiguous? Why are my neighbors mowing their grass? That seems like a cult, not neighbors. I'd be careful with that. But yeah, very build ambiguous, can go crit, can go power, can do whatever you need him to do. He's nice. Apwash. Now, this god is OP. And if I was going by what everybody else thought, I'd probably put Apwash like down here, maybe I'd put him here. But I'm going by what I think. And this god is fucking broken, okay? This god is OP. People don't know it yet, okay? They really don't know it yet. I'm putting Apwash in A. And let me give you a few reasons why Apwash is in A. Number one, more HP means his passive gives him more health back. Okay. A slower early game means more team fight play, more sieges, more guaranteed late game play out of Apwash, more 5v5s. That is where he thrives. On sieges, this god is nuts, blah, 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 blah. He is OP, okay? 100% anti-heal in his kit. I did not misspeak. 100% anti-heal in his kit. He's nice, okay? He's real nice. So, you know, don't believe me if you don't want. Come back to this in a couple months. You take a peek where Pwash is. You'll understand. Okay, Amaterasu, that's a warrior. So, already, don't play at all costs, okay? Well, can she jungle? Can she support? Well, hold on. Now, she kind of can do that. But she's no Achilles. She doesn't have an execute, right? She doesn't have procs that overcap, anything like that. Well, she has a lot of team utility, so we'll put her in C, okay? She's not completely horrible. On her, he's a hunter, but he's kind of an early game burst hunter. You know, he's not one of those better hunters. You know, he's not a Jing Wei. We all know where Jing Wei is going to be at the end of this, okay? So we'll bump him down a little bit. He's good because he's a hunter, but he's not like the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme, okay? So not quite. Anubis, kind of the same thing as Outwash. He does absolutely pumps damage, really good. Gets the same sort of benefit as these other gods with AMC and Outwash, where, you know, he's a little bit harder to punish, all that type of stuff. Problem with Anubis is that a big deal with Anubis was his early game kill potential, and that kind of got cut a little bit, unfortunately. He's not necessarily that great in the late game. He isn't necessarily that great at sieges, all that type of stuff. He's really good at burning fire giants and gold furies and stuff like that. But really, the objectives that are a bigger struggle are phoenixes and towers. If it was the other way around, we'd value Anubis higher than Outwash, but this is the way the cookie crumbles here, you know? I'm going to need a lot of water. Ao Kuang. Really simple where Ao Kuang goes. Don't play at all costs. Garbage character, doesn't have a single role that he's good in, goes very quickly, his build paths aren't necessarily that great, horrible character, really, like genuinely horrible character. I'd recommend staying away from him. He does have an execute, however, his kind of like bugs or fails more than Achilles because they can like heal out of it and, you know, all that type of stuff can be a little misleading, so not that good. Afro, this is a pick very near and dear to my heart. We love Afro, especially from support. Afro is okay. There's the idea that healers are better with a slower early game, but I actually kind of disagree with that, especially in your ranked games. I should have clarified, this is a ranked tier list, everybody, so we're talking about how to win your ranked games, right? So we're talking about characters that are OP, that type of stuff. Problem with Afro is that healers are really good at snowballing, but you aren't as good at getting the lead. Like a character like Hell, for example, that we'll talk about later. Normally, you want to have your sustain kind of snowball into like lane advantages, create like a poke difference, that type of stuff. It doesn't really happen as much in the late game. Healing really isn't as OP as it used to be. The out of combat healing debuff that was introduced at the start of Season 8, it kind of goes crazy. It's very hard to just like, you know, go from 20% to 100% out of combat healing the way you used to be able to in Smite. So healers aren't as OP. That being said, Afro has a lot of utility that makes her pretty good. I'm going to put her in B tier. I think she's playable in support. She's probably playable in mid and solo, but I wouldn't say she's necessarily OP in any of those roles. She can be OP given the enemy team comp. Like, you know, if you're Afro alting a Kraken every team fight, then you're going to get a lot of value, and maybe she moves up a little bit. But you know, if you're Afro versus some hunters, it's pretty unreliable to get your alt value. At most, you're gonna Afro alt a couple of auto attacks. That's not really what you're looking for. So, Apollo, this is a hunter, so he's gonna move up here for now. And then you start thinking what else he brings. Well, he has a global. His lane pressure is pretty good. He has pretty good self peel, all that type of stuff. I think just for the sake of a global, we can move him up to S because I think that's pretty powerful. He's really good with crit. Crit is the premier hunter build path, of course. So we're looking for that. So, yep. Now, Arachne. Arachne, at first you think, well, oh no, she's just don't play at all costs. It's what you think and it's where she is. Don't play at all costs. Arachne is garbage. She's really, really good at shades in ranked games, but here's the problem. You can't kill people in the laning phase nearly as early. If you're against any competent players and they see an Arachne, they're going to expect a cheese gank at level 1 or level 2. They're so tanky, you probably don't even kill them on that gank, and if you don't kill them, you are just a worse character throughout the entire game. She's very useless on sieges and tower scenarios, both offensively and defensively. Very weak character, very low range. Her clear is pretty mediocre until you get Golden Blade, and then even when you do get Golden Blade, you're not necessarily the biggest threat. You will see auto speed farm in some ranked games. We already saw Rip auto speed in chat. You're not auto speed. Auto speed, to be honest, probably isn't even auto speed. We're not liking it. Don't play at all costs. Trash character. Ares. I'm gonna get on my soapbox for a second here. Any Guardian that was relying on their ability to do damage, okay, is instantly worse on this patch. And it's not like their damage was necessarily nerfed, okay? It's that the amount of damage they do in comparison to the carry's health bar is cut pretty drastically, like 20%, 30%, something like that. It's a little unlucky. So because of that, we're going to put Ares down in like C tier, I think. You might notice a trend here with where the tanks are lying so far. Artemis, S tier. There you go. Really good crit build. Really good at killing tanks who dive her. The tanks can't kill her anyways. She gets a much safer early game with all the changes. Her clear and her lane pressure still aren't anything to be really pumped at, but very hard to punish. Very good late game. All that type of stuff. Ardio, C tier. Here's the thing about Ardio. Not only is this patch bad for bruiser tanks, okay, specifically bruiser tanks, a lot of supporty characters, we'll get onto that later, really not that bad. But bruiser tanks, pretty rough. Ardio also got big nerfs pretty much since the middle of last year. She's been getting nerfs because of how good she's been in soul lane. On this patch, I believe her 1 cooldown was increased by 2 seconds, and they nerfed her damage somewhere else. She's really not a good laning character anymore with all of the adjustments, and she's been nerfed more. In fact, I'm even going to put her lower. I'm going to put her in D. I think Ardio's dead. D stands for dead character. I think you're kind of trolling if you pick her, especially in soul lane. You're not going to be feeling good about it. So, there you go. Athena. Now, we'll follow the normal progression with tanks. Athena, she's a tank, don't play at all costs. But hold on. She can be played in multiple roles. Move her up a little bit. Oh, well, she has a global. Move her up a little bit. So she's like around this level. She brings a lot of team utility, that type of stuff. For support, I'd probably have her around here. For jungle, maybe she's like mid-tier. Like, you can play her. She's not OP. She's fine. But because of like her global pressure and how, how good she can be late game with jungle with Bumba's hammer, and maybe you can play her solo and rotate because you can't really get punished in the laning phase anymore. She's probably around this BC area. We'll put her in C. I think she's pretty in line with these characters. I'd probably put her like here if I was ordering it. I'll order these guys left to right as well. So I'd say like I'd put Artemis here. I'm gonna leave Opwash. I'm a big Opwash guy. I'd put Afro here. I'll do that. So we'll order them left to right as well, just so we're all on the same page here. C is for casuals. That's great. Not bad. Why Artemis is an S? Because crit hunters are the meta. You can't really punish her in the laning phase anymore. So on and so forth. Atlas. This is a support-only guardian, basically. I know people used to have fun with him in soul lane. That time is dead. That is no more. It is bad. Is it for ranked? Yes. Yes, it is. Atlas really bad as a damage dealer. Damage dealers are also really bad as tanks right now, or tanks are really bad as damage dealers, other way around. So he's pretty much purely a support, and he's just okay. He's nothing great. He is nothing horrible. He's just fine. He's in C. Doesn't bring a ton of utility to your team. I'd probably put him a little bit above Ares, but not by much. I think he has his moments, mainly like counterpick reliant, that type of stuff, but nothing crazy. Awilix. She's just a counterpick. I'd probably put her the same tier around this. Her jungle clear is really good. She definitely can get good matchups into carry gods, but I don't think she's really anything too crazy. I think she's probably just like a middle of the pack assassin. Maybe I'd put her around here. Not really a ton to talk about. Baba Yaga, a little bit more interesting because she is a stacker and games are slower. So in an ideal world, you get your stacking items online more. I want to put her in B. I think she's just like a solid mage. She's nothing too crazy. She's really bad versus auto attackers, and I think auto attackers are generally stronger than ability-based characters. So because of that, I'm going to keep her right there. Bacchus, D tier. Here's why Bacchus is D tier. He is a support-only guardian that is reliant on damage. Actually, I'm going to keep him lower than that. Support-only character that's reliant on damage, that doesn't scale particularly well, and can't burst people. Like, he can't kill people in the early game. You can drop your entire kit on a carry. You won't even have health them. It won't even get close to it. You'll do like 30% of their health, and that's your whole kit. That's everything you got. He is pretty tanky, and that's pretty good. but that falls off pretty quickly. Yeah, just a bad character currently on this patch, I think. He's not that far away from shooting up if a couple things happen in the near future, patch related, but for now, not good. This is a conquest tier list focused on just like the meta, ranked, what the changes do, that type of stuff. Baca. I think he might be in the bad but fun category, maybe a little higher. You know, I'm getting rid of bad but fun. This is not. Yo, can I? What is this? We don't need bad but fun. So for Baca, yeah, the intention is to upload it, but we'll see what happens. I'll at least highlight the VOD. We can do that. We'll go from there. For Baca, he clears decently. He has pretty good build paths, and he could probably be played in solo. And I think because of that, he'll go in B. He's just a pretty good god when it comes to like farming and running around and doing that type of stuff. I actually am going to put him pretty high in B. I think he's a solid character. I think he farms really well. I think he clears very well. Auto attack characters, their farming feels a lot better than ability-based characters, in my opinion. So yeah, isn't there an S+ tier? You know what? If we need to differentiate it more, we'll do it. But I don't really know if we need that to complicate everything with like A+, S+, all that type of stuff. SS, you know. I'm fine to put an SS, actually. We will want an SS later, actually. So I will do that. Add a row above. And this row will be SS. Yo, can I... Hello? SS. And that will, of course, be... It's blue. Actually, well, technically, shouldn't I change all these? You know, this one goes there, and then that one goes here, and then this one goes there, right? Can I get off that? And then C goes there, and then D goes there, and then that's fine. You know, something like that. But yeah, I will be going... we'll just add one more tier, but I agree. I'm ordering them left to right as well. Baron. Baron, very good character on this patch. I'm going to put him pretty high here. I think he can play in multiple different roles. I think that he has a lot of utility. I think he's very good on sieging and objective play. I think he's very good with like a Bumbas build if you were to go that in like solo lane or something like that. Very good character. I'm actually pretty inclined to put him in S. I think I am going to put him in S. I will even put him above Apollo. I think Baron's actually very strong right now. I think he is probably a stronger solo laner than he is a support, but you can definitely play him in support. You might even be able to play him in mid. I'm not really that sure about that. But I definitely think he is very strong in solo lane, especially right now. Yeah, solid character. Bastet, kind of same thought process with Baca here. I'm going to put her a little above Afro. I think she can do a good bit. I think her poke is pretty good. I think her laning phase is pretty good. Actually, maybe I'll put her below Baca because I think she farms worse than Baca. I think she's, again, just like a pretty standard assassin. I think a lot of assassins will fall around this like A to C range will be most of the assassin class. She's fine. Now, Bellona. Well, she's a warrior, so you want to start her here. But then you think, well, she actually has a pretty good laning phase. Maybe she could jungle. She's good with auto attacks. Okay. You've convinced me. We'll move her up a little bit. Maybe she could be around here. We'll put Bellona on the low end of B, I think. She's a little bit better than these other tanks. She's definitely like a pretty solid character. Same thing with Cabrakan. Cabrakan's a little different. He is a damage-reliant guardian, but you can play him jungle. And because of that, boom. That's simple. That's basically Cabrakan as a jungler. I'm actually going to move him. I'm going to move him up a little bit. I'm going to put him... Put Cabrakan there. Cabrakan's good. He's solid. Camazotz, really long ult cooldown. Probably a decent solo laner. I'd say probably better than these other assassins in solo. I'm going to put Kama... I don't know how good his clear is. I'll put him above Baca, maybe a little below, somewhere around here. These assassins are kind of all the same to me. You know, they're pretty decent. They're okay laners. They're not that great. They're okay in the jungle. They're not that great. They're just kind of mediocre. They're there. Kama probably has a better dive than these other gods and the hunters just because they can't really hit him when he's in the air. So that's really good. Serb, same sort of logic as like you know, these other tanks, these damage reliant guardians. I'm going to put him a little bit ahead of a couple of these other gods, only for the reason that I think he has a little bit more CC. The anti-heal can be really good. But his laning phase in solo has gotten really nerfed, and he's not necessarily a great support. He's really just here because he's flexible in a couple different roles, but I wouldn't really recommend him playing him in either of them personally. Just is what it is. Cernunnos is going to follow the archetype of a god like Anhur. He's a really good laner, and he's a hunter, so we feel good about that. But I wouldn't say he's too nuts. Maybe I'd put him a little bit... I'm actually going to put Apollo here. I think that's a little bit more accurate. I think Cern's really good, but I don't think he is as great because he loses a lot of his... I'm going to move this back. He loses a lot of his early game kill potential, and he doesn't have CC immunity, which isn't the greatest. And yeah, he's just not like the best late game hunter. He was more of an early to mid game focused hunter, and that's not really the part of the game that you care about as much. Why the fuck is Alposh an A tier? He's broken. Everybody doesn't know it yet, but I do know it. If I was going by what everybody else thought, he'd be way lower. But he's broken. Build Bumbas on him. You'll see what I mean. Chalk. D. Above Ardio, but D. Bad character. Doesn't clear like that well. His laning phase is kind of mediocre. I don't think he's necessarily that great against hunters. He's a warrior. And that's the problem. He's just a warrior. That's simple. Bad. The warriors build paths. They're horrible. Is what it is. I don't make the rules. I'm just playing the patch. Chang'e. Whew. Let me tell you guys something about Chang'e. She can dance with the best of them. Longer laning phase means her bunny's better. You get to bounce that little bunny back and forth from the base, get some items. It's really nice. Pretty solid solo lane counterpick to some of these other gods we're talking about. Pretty decent matchups into some of these other mages. Chang'e used to be a pretty good mage solo, and she might be okay now. We're going to put Chang'e in B tier. Solid character. Solid. Charybdis, S tier. Keep in mind, Charybdis is a beta character. She is, by default, embarrassing to lock in. You lock in Charybdis, you instantly look like you're a worse player. People think like, wow, this person, they can only play crutches. They're very bad at the game. They will think that about you. But here's the thing. You might be smarter than them. You might sort of say, well, she has a good laning phase. She clears well. She does very well with a lot of the crit proc items, such as the Envenom, Deathbringer, and Wind Demon, meta mainstays in your builds. And she's pretty safe. You'll get a lot of damage off. She's just a solid pick. It's just embarrassing to play her. So might want to not pick her, but she is good if you were to pick her. Chernabog, well, he's a hunter, and he can build crit, and he has a global. So if Apollo's here, Chernabog should be here. But maybe he's a little higher. Maybe he's a little higher. We'll put him there. That's fair. I think that's fair. We'll value the global pretty highly here. He's a hunter, so, you know, there he goes. Chiron. Well, I could be wrong, but I think he's a hunter, damn it. So he goes up here. Well, and you think, hold on, he can hit the enemy backline. That's pretty nice. Move him up a little bit. Well, his early game is probably even as good or better than these guys, so we can move him up a little bit. Well, then hold on. Is he better than Apwash? No, because Apwash counters Chiron. You guys got to keep that in mind. In the Apwash-Chiron matchup, Apwash is hard farming the Chiron. Chiron uses one ability, that's a stun. So, just because of that, he's down there. Kronos. Kronos is like, what if you aren't a hunter, but you really wanted to be a hunter? You know what I mean? Like, what if you dreamed every single day that when you grew up, you were going to be in the NBA? And you know what? Chances are you might not get there, but sometimes you might. And that's a lot like Kronos. Sometimes you load into the game and you're going to get late game, and you might as well be a hunter. But then sometimes you're a Kronos and you're useless for 25 minutes. So because of that, he'll go around this Afro and this Chang'e. We'll put him right here. He's safe and snug here. Sometimes he'll ascend to this hunter level, this A tier that we're looking for. But then sometimes not as much. It's going to take 4 hours. Oh, we're going to start rifling through some of these picks. You got to keep in mind, we went through a lot of hunters right there, so we have to explain stuff. That's a lot harder than doing something like this. Tier. Don't play at all costs. He's garbage. Bad character. His laning phase might as well not matter. You walk around, maybe you get to do something for a couple minutes. But he's bad. You know what? Put him a little bit higher. We'll put him where Chalk is. There you go. Cleo, good character. She kind of is just on this upper tier of assassin. She's really good at laning. Tons of damage. Just an overall overtuned character. If she was a hunter and she was good with crit, I'd put her up here. But unfortunately, she's not. So she'll stay right here. I'd probably put her above some of these hunters, actually. We'll put her above Apua. She's as close to S tier as you can get without being a hunter. How about that? I feel like that's fair. Cthulhu. Now, this is a really interesting character. Cthulhu goes big. You know, dominating presence in team fights. Just dominant. But hold on. You can't clear a wave. And you get owned by characters that crit you. And if there's a lot of damage in the game, then you can actually die. So we're going to put Cthulhu on like the low end of B. I'd say he's below Bologna. Maybe even he's like here. Probably something like this. He's like fine. But, you know, Cuchulainn, damage warrior. Damage warriors go here to die. That's where they go. They live here. They die here. If he was an auto attacker, he'd be a little bit higher, but not very good. Cupid. He goes with these other hunters up here. He's a pretty good counter pick. He's probably better with crit than a character like Honor. Actually, they're pretty much on par. I'd say these four are pretty interchangeable. I'd probably put these two on the bottom end and Cernus and Chiron on the upper end, but really you can move him around wherever you want. He's a hunter. You know, he's a hunter. Danzaburo, he's actually also a hunter, believe it or not, so he will go straight up into the A tier. Do I want to move him ahead of any of this stuff? I think I like Danza more than a couple of these characters. He gets little gold coins. That's fun. He gets into a rocket. That's very fun. And he builds crit. Nice. Now, Disco. You're a mage, so you're not a hunter. So automatically we're looking at this like B tier range. However, she can give damage to your hunter. And then you're thinking, hold on a damn second. She makes my hunter better? She's automatically more valuable than a lot of these characters. But she has a little bit less utility than these other gods, so we'll put her right below Chang'e. Erlang Shen. It's actually a tough one. Erlang is really good 1v1 potential. Probably not that great in solo lane, because he's a warrior. But could he be played in support? Maybe as like a niche pick. Could he be played in jungle? We'll see. He's probably fine. We'll put Erlang in B. I think he's a solid B god. I think as a character and as a kit, he's better than some of these other gods. So I'm going to put him ahead of like the Cronoses and Chang'e. I'll put him, he's like pretty close to A tier. You know, pretty close. Something like that. Discordia, in my opinion, is nuts right now. She can play the long clear game. Waves. She's fine. Disco's fine. She's a low damage mage. Is a problem. Her base damage is really not that crazy. If the passive goes on you, then you feel like you do damage, but I think she's just okay. Discordia, I think, is very good against tanks, and I don't think tanks are very good, so I think the value of her pick goes down. Yeah, I think the Erlang Shen rework is very strong. Now, Fafnir. This is a tank. That's a support tank. That is really good with your hunters. Well, that sounds pretty nice. He's also a safe character, so you won't get one shot by the other hunters. Well, hold on a damn second. Do we have a support character in the A tier? That is nuts. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a tank in the A tier. Our first tank in the A tier. It is insanity. We've never seen it before. A tank in A tier. It is crazy. Now, keep in mind, you're not in A because you're tanky. You are in A because you make your hunters better. And that's what this whole thing is about. Fenrir. B. Solid B tier. Pretty good character. I'm going to put him above stuff like this. I want to put him around where Erlang is, maybe a little higher. And maybe we'll put him high B. He's pretty flexible, could be played in a few different roles. His late game and jungle can be pretty good. His early game and jungle is pretty good. Your mid game is kind of sketch. But at the end of the day, you can kill a hunter if they don't have beads by alting someone to your hunter. So it's like counterplay here, you know, very smart. You want to keep that up. Freya. Well, think of Kronos. Except Freya lives that dream an even smaller percent of the time. Okay? We're going to put Freya in C tier. But she's upper C tier. I'm going to put her ahead of Cthulhu, behind Achilles. I think Freya's somewhere around here. Her laning phase is just awful. You cannot clear anything. Like, it's so bad. If you go mannequins on Freya, you can maybe clear something, but then you're really sacking a lot of your mid to late game damage potential when you go that starter item. You lose a lot of sustain on the waves. Not ideal, for sure. Ganesha. Well, he's a support heavy character, but he's a bad character because he's Ganesha. And your 3 is useless. Hold on. You can ult the enemy backline. How much value is that? I'd say he's better than some of these other Guardians, but is he in B tier? I'm not sure about that. We're going to put Ganesha as a high C. He's a high C tier character. We're going to put Ganesha in C. His laning phase is okay. Your ult on the enemy backline is okay. But really, you're not that tanky. Your frontline engage is pretty rough. He's just okay. Geb. Same sort of deal. Laning phase is kind of lengthened, but your late game is also kind of a little more guaranteed. So there's like this back and forth of, is Geb better because you go more late game, or is Geb worse because you spend longer in the laning phase? And I think the end result is it doesn't matter. Geb's passive, very good versus crit, so therefore ahead of Ganesha. Now, where in B is he? I'm going to put Geb middle B. I think this is fair for Geb. I'm going to put him between Bastet and Cabrakan. I think he's solid. Definitely solid. Gilgamesh. Well, he's a tank character, but his kit is kind of broken, I'm not going to lie. So we're going to put Gilgamesh ahead of Geb, ahead of Bastet, ahead of Baca, ahead of Kama. Yep. Move him up. He's below Afro, above her. Like, boom. There's Gilgamesh right there. Really good with Bumba's late game still. I'm sure he's still fine as a jungler. He's not really as good in other roles anymore. Solid character, though. Not bad. Geb can stop your hunters from dying. Yes, but he can't kill their hunters. That's the problem. Guan Yu. This is a warrior, so we're going to put him where warriors go. Warriors go in D. Yep. He can heal your team a little bit, actually, so maybe we'll put him a little higher. We'll put him underneath Amma. How about that? A little bit of team utility. A little bit of healing. Not bad. A little bit of healing. That's fine. Put him there. Achiman. This is a hunter who is good into every other hunter. I'm actually going to put Hachi. I'm going to move this around a little bit. I think Hachiman is really solid, actually. He has good matchups into a lot of the meta hunters. He's very good with every stage of the game, with tons of characters. He buffs your other hunters if you have multiple hunter comps. Solid character. Hades, I think, is better in Soul Lane this patch than he was in the previous patch, but overall, sort of an underwhelming character. His kit just isn't that nuts. His ult is really good, his 2 is really good, but his 3 is kind of a mediocre ability. We're going to put Hades in low B tier. We're going to put him above Baba Yaga. I think I'm feeling okay with that. Hebo, pretty solid character. He did get a couple nerfs on this patch, but he can be pretty good in multiple different roles. He is actually a decent soul laner, potentially. He used to be good into characters like Aphrodite in Soul Lane. If you ever seen Afro solo, you could go Hebo and go Divine Ruin against them, and you will farm that Aphrodite. Different stuff like that you could maybe try, but overall, I'd say Hebo is probably just like a solid B tier character. I'd put him ahead of Kronos, ahead of Erlang Gilga. I'd put him somewhere around here. I think he's pretty solid. He's around these 5 characters, I'd say. Pretty good. Heimdall. I'll be damned if it's not a fucking hunter. It's a hunter, guys. He's going into the S tier. A little bit better than these other characters because I'd say he's more consistent late game. He's also a little bit safer. Yeah, solid character. Hel, she's a healer. She's a mage. That puts her... you know what? I'm going to do it. Hel's the best healer. Hel is the best healer in the game. I think she can snowball pretty well. I think she's really valuable to your teams in sieges and stuff. Hel's a solo, yeah. Hel's a pretty good solo for sure. She gets countered by Opwash, though, so it's hard for me to put her there. I can put her ahead of Fafnir. I think I'm okay with that. Could be a very good... You know what? Does Fafnir deserve to be ahead of Hel? No. Hel can be played in 2 roles. Fafnir takes a backseat. Hera, this is a fundamentally broken character, okay? There is nothing better than dropping an Argus on the enemy backline and having them slam ass, okay? This character is broken. I'm not going to hear anything else about it. She could be played in any role. I don't care where. I'm going to put her below Fafnir, but this is an A-tier character. This character is busted. I'm telling you right now, the character is busted. If she was anything other than just a mid laner, she'd be going up. If I see any of you play Hera solo, I'd like the VOD. I'd like the match ID. I'd like you to send me a screenshot on Twitter of your performance. It's got to be broken, okay? It's got to be. Hercules. Ooh, guys. It's a warrior. I hate to say it, but he's a warrior. Herc's pretty low, guys. I think Herc's a D tier character. I'm just going to say it. Herc is a damage warrior who can't kill carries anymore in the early game. And that was what he does. It's just what he does. And now he can't do it. Bad character. Unlucky. Speaking of characters who can't kill people anymore, Horus used to be one of the most dominant laners in the game. Really nice. You would start flapping your wings on people. You would ult people. You would do all this nice stuff. You have a CC chain, all that. You've been nerfed. He's bad. He goes here. He's a little bit better than Herc, I'd say. Overall bad character. Unlucky. You know what? I'll put him a little bit higher, guys. I'll put him a little higher for you. He's a CT character. Hoi, straight up here. I actually like him better than some of these characters. I'm going to move Apollo a little bit here. It's something like that. These 3, I think, are somewhat interchangeable. Hoi has pretty good kill potential on other hunters. His passive is underrated here. Okay, he can get crit less in the 1v1s with hunters. He's very good at killing a single frontliner or big tanky boy that comes at you. If anyone does get tanky, which they won't, he can go there. Humbot's really good late game assassin. Makes me want to put him pretty high. However, then I remember he can't really kill people early game, which is a little tough. He'll kill people late game for sure. He's a good scaling god. He's somewhere in this high B tier range. I'm going to put him between Chang'e and Kronos. I think he's a little bit better than some of those other assassins, the Bacas and the Bastets of the world. But yeah. Doing God's work? Yeah, I got you, Gamma. You see where all these hunters are? We know. I'm not listening to any propaganda anymore, okay? No more propaganda. Eset. I'm going to put Eset above Hera and between Fafnir. She has a lot of CC. She can be played support, maybe be played in, mid and solo and those other roles, all that type of stuff. She's not a hunter, so it's hard to put her up here because she's also not a good Bumbas character like the Posh is. But she's still really solid. Lots of team utility. The DR changes do hurt her a little bit, but her objective secure is great. Her sieges are great. And that type of value really shines through. So A tier for the Eset. Izanami. Well, she doesn't give a fuck about waves. Okay, that's number 1. She full clears waves. Okay, she doesn't care about those. Buff them all you want. In fact, triple their health and see if she cares. She doesn't, by the way. She doesn't care. So, because of that, she's pretty high up here. She's an S tier character. I'm going to put her a little below Heim. I think if you want a wave clear character, I'd rather have Charybdis because she's a little bit safer, and Izanami's early game burst potential is a little bit worse with all the HP changes. She's more of an early game snowball character, and I don't really see that as the meta as much. Janice, utility mage. Okay, not too bad. I'm going to go out on a limb here. Janice should be played in jungle. Okay, Janice is a jungler now. I've said it. That's where he belongs. Because of that, Janice as a jungle and as other roles, I'm gonna put him ahead of Discordia. Lots of utility. Solid character. Actually, you know what? He's below Discordia because he doesn't buff a hunter. That's important to note of. But he can rotate to their hunter and kill them. Very important. Jing Wei. Well, you guys wondered why we put an SS tier. Imagine a world where you can't kill a hunter in the early game. You can't punish them for having bad wave clear. They get to late game every time. Crit is the best build path. And they have a lot of HP so that they're safe. That sounds like a Jing Wei meta, doesn't it? Well, you better believe your damn ass she is. Jing Wei's SS, she's fucking broken. She is beyond busted. The craziest stuff about this whole hunter propaganda world we live in is they got this character buffed at the start of the year. In fact, I'm going to pull it up for you. Smite Jing Wei changelog. Okay, let's take a peek at this. I'm gonna show you guys something here, because you're not gonna fucking believe it. Okay, where is this? Look at this. Jing Wei, at the start of Season 9, cooldown on her 2, reduced by 2 seconds. Cooldown on her 1, reduced by 2 seconds. Damage per shot on her 2, 10% more. Okay? So not only are you going to crit and do bonus damage because of the crit, and do more bonus damage because of the Deathbringer, you're going to do even more bonus damage because of her 2. This god is fucking busted. And not to mention that, your early game isn't even bad because you fly around everywhere. Broken character, she is an SS. She might be alone at the end of this tier list. She is broken. Absolutely busted character. Jormungandr, he's a worm who does nothing. Don't play at all costs. He's slightly better than Alquang. Garbage character. Trash can. Absolute trash can character. Jorm is good for one thing and one thing only, which is dying before he does anything useful. That's it. Yu Huang. Okay? I'm a big believer in Yu Huang. Okay? He's a safe mage. Does really good damage. He is quite consistent, I would say, with the amount of damage he outputs, but I don't think he brings a lot of team utility, and I don't think he has as much of a high end as some of these other mages do. I think I'd probably put him around this like Hun, Bot, Kronos level. I think he's more consistent than these characters, and he's less matchup dependent than characters like Erlang. So I think I'm going to put him right around here between the Erlang and the Gilgamesh. He's really high B, low A type of character. If I had this tier list segmented into like A minus, B, you know, all that, I'd probably put him in like the A minus section, something like that. Yeah, I'd say his biggest weaknesses are that he's not very good at clearing red buffs early. He needs a little bit of help, but his mid and late game is very, very good. Kali's sound like she should be really good because games go later, but her clear is actually quite bad in the jungle. And I think the biggest thing about Kali is that Kali's window to kill somebody is in her alt timer, right? But because people are default tankier, it's actually harder to get a kill in that alt timer. And I think that carries represent, specifically hunters, represent more damage on you than they did in prior patches. So I feel like the execution to get a good fight as Kali, I think became harder. And I think your window to get a kill effectively became tighter. So because of that, I'm going to put Kali on the low end of B. I don't think she's very good. I think she can feel really good if games go late and you have good matchups, but I do not think that will happen in a majority of games. I even want to put her C tier, kind of. I think I want to put her around where Freya is. I think she has kind of the same risk-reward as Freya. If you get to the late game, they can be very good. I'd actually say Freya could be better late game. Yeah, she's somewhere like that. Khepri. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we have another A-tier tank. Okay? Good laning phase. Physical prot shred. 30% physical prot shred for your ADC. He can save your ADC. He's the ultimate support character. We are putting Khepri all the way up in A tier. I'm actually going to put him ahead of Fafnir. It's very comp dependent and situational which one of these characters will feel better. I'm going to even put him ahead of Hel. Put him ahead of Hel. Khepri is nice. He's real nice, guys. He's nice. Mwah, you know. Khepri's just nice. Here we go with Arthur. Do not play at all costs. This character's trash. Actually, I really want to put him there, but he's better than some of these other warriors. I could put a lot of warriors in the do not play at all costs section. Arthur at least has a really, really, really good mid-game, and because of that, I will put him ahead of some of these other warriors. I will put him ahead of the Freyas and the Kalis. Somewhere around here, I think is where he goes. I'll put him below Freya and Kali, because his late game potential is non-existent. Arthur is a snowball character, but you won't even get to snowball the game with this character. Just mediocre. Kukulkan, he belongs where the warriors belong, I believe. Not a very good character, not a lot of payoff for him. He is pretty good on siege defense. Yeah, Slippy Show, thank you for the prime. Kukulkan is actually quite good on siege scenarios, so because of that, maybe I'll put him a little bit higher. I will put him around where Horus is. A little bit lower. His wave clear is okay, but it takes him a long time. He needs a lot of ticks on these waves. His build curve can be alright, but overall I just don't think the payoff is really that great for him. I'm actually gonna size this out a little bit. Let me know if you guys can all still see that, but I think it should be okay. I just want a little bit more room now that these tiers are getting bigger. Kuma Karna. He got buffed this patch, guys. Kuma got buffed because the scepter is no longer the obelisk mechanic, which means you won't wake people up from your own mez. Something I forgot to mention with Apollo, but pretty big. However, the DR changes nerfed him the patch before, and he's just not a very good god. So Kuma is going to go around here. He's above Ardio, I'd say. He's better than Ardio and Baca, officially not the worst support in the game, but not very good. Yo, ProRogue20, thank you for the sub. Welcome back to the Bear Den, whatever we're calling this whole situation here. Appreciate it. Guys, you're gonna like what I have to say about Kuzmo. This dude spins around and puts turtles on your head, and he is anti-hunter. This is big time tech for Kuzmo. Big time tech for Kuzmo. We're going to move Kuzmo into the B tier. I'm actually going to put him pretty high B tier. I'm going to put him between Chang'e and Discordia. Kuzmo is a solid tank only because there's a chance that the hunter may kill themselves on you, and that is probably the best you can do in a team fight. Daji is missing. Where can I put Daji? I need a token Daji, because she is not on this tier list. We will handle Daji at the end of the tier list. Someone please remind me. I have just the solution for us. Loki. I don't know what to think about Loki. He's a pretty good single target assassin, but your burst... Okay, any character that has a burst window, like a Kali, like a Loki, stuff like that, where when you get on them, they have to die, or else you're dead, I think makes them pretty bad. And because of that, I think Loki's probably like a low B tier character. I put him below a Wheelix, just for the case that he doesn't really counter anything. He's just kind of there. His jungle clear, I think, is pretty rough. He's just okay. I kind of want to put... I'm going to move Ganesha up, actually, and Achilles up into this B tier. I'm going to put Loki below them. And I think this is a more accurate representation. I think there's just more risk involved with the C tier characters, where I don't think there's a lot of risk with a Ganesha and Achilles. Actually, there is risk with Ganesha, which is he's just a bad character. So we'll move him back down there. But I think Achilles can belong here. Medusa, ladies and gentlemen. We have another hunter. But another early game focused hunter, but not quite like Izanami where she clears waves really well. We're going to put Medusa pretty much right where Anhur is. They're very interchangeable. I'd say Medusa's maybe a little bit worse than Anhur. Just for the sake that I think Anhur's a bit of a safer character, has a bit more self-peel, and I think has a little bit more team utility, you know? Have I lost your mind? You cannot be giving away all your strats. Ooh, Ben, I'll give away whatever the people want for money. Guys, can we get 30 gifted for that? Hell yeah, selling out for 30 gifted. Yeah. Ben, by the way, Jing Wei's OP, you might want a banner against me. Just throwing that out. Mercury. Kind of what I said about Kali and Kronos and Freya, where it's like you wish you were a hunter, but you're not a hunter. But you get close because you can build crit. And because of that, we're going to put him around here. You could build crit on Humbots too, by the way. That shit bangs. Merc's just like a high B character. He's fine. He's solid. We'll put him here. Can I get a gifted for Mike selling out? Guys, someone please gift Twig a sub. He needs it. He needs it. Actually, you know what, guys? If you gift Twig a sub, I will do a code giveaway at the end of this stream, or at the end of this tier list. What do we think about that? He needs it, guys. He really does. Merlin. He's nice, guys. He's nice. Yo, Mavs Debater. Word, okay. I feel you. I felt you on that. Thank you for the sub. Yo, Pressions, thank you for the sub. Mr. Diddy Kong, thank you for gifting the sub to River. You guys just went crazy there. Appreciate it. Merlin useless is what Malswell says in the chat. Let me drink on that.
If I'm trolling from
Here's the thing about Merlin Maswell.
BM.
He goes dummy on siege scenario, so by default, Merlin has to go pretty high as far as mages are concerned, but not a lot of utility. I'm going to put him between Baca, Bastet, all this stuff. He's the same thing as Geb, actually. He's like, if you get late game, you feel good, but you're going to be feeling really bad until then. The only reason he's above Geb is because he does damage, and he doesn't get pounded. You know, Geb gets pounded. Morgan Le Fay, safe mage that doesn't bring a whole lot. Her build curve isn't particularly good. Her early game damage is low. I'm going to put her in the low end of B. Above Loki, I'd say. Something like that. Yo, Zordstar, thank you for gifting the sub to Twiggy. Mulan. Do not play this character at all costs. Mulan's biggest advantage was that she was a really good bruiser who could snowball off the laning phase. That no longer exists. It is absolutely useless in solo lane. Maybe I'll move her up because maybe some genius out there is going to play her in jungle or support and make her look OP. I doubt it, but feel free. Of course, Twig. No problem. All my information is yours to take. Hunters, go here. That's it. Oh, by the way, Alposh is also broken. Naja. You don't have frames when you play Naja. That's something to consider. Has pretty good clear, though, and can build crit. Now, that's starting to seem pretty good to me. We're going to put Naja where, like, a Wheelix and Anubis. So I'm going to put her above Baba Yaga. That's how I'm feeling about Naja. Not really a ton to say. It's just Naja. Neath. This is a hunter with a global. But it's an ability-based hunter with a global. We're going to put her where Chiron is. Just above Danza. How about that? There you go. Nemesis. This is like where Mercury is, where you can build crit. This is a nice assassin right here. Really nice assassin. You can build crit on her. You can maybe box the ADC. That's nice. Nike. A tank who was known for not doing much damage before, that does even less damage now. And hunters can own you. However, you kind of have anti-hunter tech. I'm going to put her above Loki. I think we get a tank in B tier here. How about that? Posh above 700 so far. He's broken. Build bumbles on him. You guys will see what I mean. Nox. I'm going to rank Nox as a support character. I don't think she's very good in other roles. I think she's mostly annoying. I'm going to put Nox probably somewhere around here. Low A tier character. Just a really strong support if you can go low nose on her. But she doesn't have a lot of team utility, actually. I'm going to put her around here. Low A, high B. Yo, Marm, thanks for the prime. Nuwa. Is Nuwa low-key broken, chat? What do you guys think? Here's the thing about Nuwa. Actually, Lieutenant Lemming, thank you for the prime. Nuwa actually might be kind of nice late game. But I think it's the same sort of thing as like a Kali and a Freya. It might just be hard for you to do anything until that point, and your wave clear probably feels awful. I'm going to put Nuwa in C tier. I'll put her below Ganesha. She's somewhere like that. Odin. I can't think of a character that could be any more boring to play than Odin. Like, imagine playing a tank, not being able to clear a single wave, and then having 0 damage threat on them, and 1 hunter auto is going to take off your shield. That sounds awful to me. This character is bad, but he's not as bad as some of the other characters. I'm going to put him... He's above Amma. Below Amma? He's above Horus. Final answer, above Horus. Nope, above Kakalkan. Final answer. All around. He is like the mages that wish they were hunters, but he actually gets to scale quicker than they do. I'm going to put all around above Yu Huang. I think he's a solid character. He has really good lane pressure. His ult can be really good, all that type of stuff. Good on siege scenarios. Maybe I should put him higher. I'll put him below Hera. I think he's better than Nox. He's somewhere around here, this range. I think this range from like, you know, high B, low A, pretty interchangeable. Osiris. He's only not dead because you could play him jungle, and I think he's actually a pretty okay jungle because the auto attack build is quite good for him. His wave or his camp clear is really good. We'll put him above Baca and above Kama. Ooh, above Janus, above Discordia. Ooh, hold on a second. Above Kuzmo, definitely above Kuzmo, actually. We'll put him between Chang'e and Kuzmo. He's mid B. He's fine. He's solid. In which role do we consider Baron as S? I think solo lane. The S stands for solo lane. Pele. I love this character. She is broken. People don't realize it, though. Because people don't realize it, you might expect me to put her lower. But it's the same thing with Opwash. No, she's just broken. Her clear's good. Everything's nice about her. We're going to put her above Kama. Guys, I lost my other gods. We have to control minus this. Persephone. Persephone was really good at bursting people. I think she's actually quite bad. I might even put Persephone in D tier. No, I'll put her above Cabrakan, Horus, all this type of stuff. I'm gonna put her above Cabrakan only. I think she doesn't have that much team utility. Her over-the-wall damage is really bad. I don't think her siege scenarios are particularly great. They're good on defense, not that great on offense, in my opinion. She's just okay. She has decent red buff clear, decent wave clear, but I think her damage can be pretty inconsistent, and she's just really not that high of a payoff. I think her early to mid-game used to be very strong, and I think that strength of hers is a little bit weaker now. Poseidon, this god zooms around the map. He just kind of goes, pew, 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 pew. You know, he slaps people with his little fish. That's pretty nice. It is pretty nice. I'm going to put Poseidon ahead of... I'm going to put him ahead of Erlang and Yu Huang. Put him right there. I think he's a really good clearing god. He's a mid laner that won't feel bad to do red buff, won't feel bad to clear waves. He scales decently well. He doesn't have as much 100-0 potential with his Kraken, but his other abilities are quite good as well. He's a solid character. Speaking of solid character, Raijin. He's like Morgan Le Fay, but with less CC, a little bit more safety. I'm going to just put him low B. Ra, healer, long-range snipe, decent red clear, really good wave clear. Decent team utility. I think I'll put Ra above Agni. I think he's a solid. Nothing too crazy, but he's a good character. Rama. This is an S tier hunter, guys. S tier hunter, guaranteed. I'm going to put him above Artemis. Here's the thing about Rama, okay? Insane crit hunter who can also hit their backline with a semi-global ult and really good wave clear. In fact, I've sold myself. I'm going to switch this around a little bit. Rama goes here. How about that? I think Rama's a top 3 hunter in the game. And yeah, Rama got buffed on this patch. That's a big deal. His 2, I believe, got buffed. I think that was it. Baron is in S because I think he's pretty good in support, but I think he's really good in solo with the new changes. Roti Toski. Now, let me tell you guys a little bit about Rat. This character is broken, but he's not good in solo lane. He's not good in jungle. He's not good in mid. He's not good in support. I don't know where he's good, but if you go crit Acorn on this guy, he goes crazy. Rat's OP. I just don't know where yet. I'm going to theorycraft that. Maybe he's an OP support, crit Rat support. That's good, for sure. In Arena, yes, broken in Arena. 100% broken in Arena. I'm going to put Rat decently high. I'm deciding Rat is between Janus and Disco. No, he's higher than that. He's there. He's above Kuzmo. Rat's fine. I said he's broken, but really what I mean, he's like a middle of the pack character. He's fine. Ravana, bad character. Straight up bad character. He's not going to kill people in a burst anymore. Laning phase isn't great. Jungle clear isn't great. You're never going to kill a hunter late game. In fact, don't play him at all costs. He's trash. Bad character. He's the best of this bunch. Bad character. Really bad. How's Jing not SS tier? You reading? Wait, oh, someone said, why is Jing SS? Oh, yeah, no. If you don't get that, you don't know basketball. Scylla. Pretty good mage. Wave clear's okay. Red clear's okay. Mages as a whole, I just don't think are like that crazy. I'll put Scylla decently high. I'll put her between Agni and Ra. I think we're just going to have a clump of mages right here. Sirket. You can build crit on Sirket. She got a cleave auto. That's pretty nice. Put Sirket mid-tier in tier B. B is just going to have a lot of characters, guys. I'll put her between Janus and Disco. Why not? Solid character, good TC. Actually, you'll die to Alton anyone late game, so I'm going to put her just below Pele. That used to be really sick when you could go crazy in fights. Yeah, of course, genetics. I can't show the people that. You've ruined it for all of us. You've ruined it. Yeah, Set's bad. I'm just going to say that. Set's bad. If he's good, it's in solo lane, but I don't know. You just take longer to kill people. Like, Set used to be really nuts when he would just one-shot people on a dive. It just won't happen as easily. Hunters are just going to own you. I'm going to put him above Arthur. Shiva, bad character. You're just a CC bot and then you fall off and do absolutely nothing. He's also been repeatedly nerfed over the past couple patches. Just kind of a rough character. I'm going to put him between Cabrakan and Persephone, I think. Somewhere around there. I think he's not very good. Super overrated. Scotty, this is a hunter, but not one of the best hunters, but she is still a hunter. So because of that, she's going to go in A tier. Yeah, she's a hunter. That's all I got to say. Sobek, bad character. The S stands for sucky. The O stands for ouchie, why'd you pick me? The B stands for bad. The E stands for eek, that's a bad pick. And the K stands for KK, we lost, you picked Sobek. So, yep, Sobek's bad. We're going to put Sobek. We'll put him above Kumba. Yep, that's all I have to say. Soul. Soul was an early game pressure character. That pressure is no longer as valuable. Bad. Bad character. But she's safe. She's like the Loki of mages, like mage ADCs. Where she goes. Wukong, damage warrior, bad. Susano, assassin who can actually kill people. You go where Humbat goes. You're like, there, like 2 peas in a pod. Sylvanas. Good duo pressure character. He's a healer. Pretty decent. You do get absolutely blown up later in the game, but that's how it goes sometimes, isn't it? We'll put him above Kuzmo. I think he's somewhere like that. He's definitely fine. He's a solid character. He also got buffs on this patch. His passive is really, really good. The cooldown you receive from picking up your little seeds is higher. Pretty solid. Terra. Terra is like a weird middle of the ground support. I'm going to put her in the same spot I had. So she's like a pretty good laning character. Her ult is pretty valuable. She does have healing, which is nice. Both of these characters, I should note, get pretty farmed by Ankh and by hunters in general. I don't think they're the greatest against them. Sylph has pretty good pressure. Terra has pretty good CC combos and maybe get them killed. Yeah, nothing too crazy. They're just solid guardians. They're definitely playable. I think support as a whole is a pretty good role on this patch. But these aren't like, holy crap, these characters are nuts. Thanatos, he's an execute. He's an assassin. He's like where Achilles is. Probably a little bit worse because he's riskier. I'm going to put him above Nike. He's somewhere around there. Maybe he's a little bit worse than that. I'll put him above Freya. He's just a risky character. Your early game gets hurt a lot. So many hunters in S and 1 in SS. Are you trying to tell me something, Mike? Well, you hardcore. Have I got the tier list for you? Hunters are broken. Who would have thought? That's crazy. Guys, we only have one more row of characters to go. And I could be wrong, but I only see a couple more hunters, so we're okay. Morgan. She's an A-tier character. She's just good. I don't know. She transforms into a hunter. Gotta be good. Thor, bad. Bad character. He is... between Kali and Set. Something like that. Bad character. That's all I have to say about it. Thoth has gotten a lot of nerfs. His wave clear is even worse. His red clear is horrible. His long-range poke and siege scenarios are pretty good, therefore he could be a little bit higher, but nothing too crazy. He is a lane bully, though, so I will put him above Babidi Yagadi. That's all I got for Babidi. Tiamat has been repeatedly nerfed. Her early game is horrible. Her red buff clear, you can eat it. That's pretty good, but her late game is really nice. I'm going to put her pretty much same scenario with like Thoth. Like the mages just kind of fall around this range, I think. She's just somewhere around here. Her payoff, I think, is higher than like a Morgan Le Fay and Raijin. I think her late game is very, very strong. Suki Yomer's also a pretty good laning assassin. Can be pretty good in solo, can be pretty good in mid, maybe. If you want to play an assassin mid, could be okay jungle. He's good with Bumba's hammer. I think he's just a pretty good character overall. I'm going to put him kind of where the Susanoo Humbots sort of tier is for assassins. I think these three are pretty interchangeable. Uller, that's a hunter. He's like all of the other ability-based hunters, but he's even better because he can still kill people early. I'm going to put him up here because he's Uller. Vamana. This character fundamentally should be broken, but curse knock exists, therefore he's not broken, and he's a warrior. Unfortunately, he's bad. I do love him, though. Because I love him, we'll move him higher. He's above Mulan, surely, and above Wukong. Why not? Vulcan. He has a turret for red buff. That is nice. We really value that. Really, really good. Okay on sieges, okay clear, all that type of stuff. Who really cares? He's not a hunter. Why do we spend any time on him? Shablanke, that's a hunter. S tier, better with crit than these other hunters because he's not an ability-based hunter. Alt is pretty good, but pretty low here. I think these other hunters are better than him, but he's a good crit hunter. Probably better than these other hunters are with crit. Xingten, bad character. Actually, he's where Kuzmo is. Maybe between that. His one is really good versus hunters, but your cast times on everything are just really long. He's kind of safe. I think he got a couple buffs on this patch, but he just doesn't feel that great. His one is kind of better, right? Because it's percent max HP damage, and everybody's percent HP is higher. Yamoja. I'm barely going to put Yamoja in A tier. I think the reason is just that she's really flexible. The high end of Yamoja can be really good, but the low end can feel pretty bad. Her level 1 laning phase isn't like that crazy. Her alt is like fine. But when you trap people, because they have more HP, they don't like guaranteed die in the walls all the time anymore. So you have to be a little bit more picky and choosy with her. So yeah. Yeah, Xingten would be OP with Old Mirrodin. Ymir, I'm going to put pretty high B. I think he's like fine. I think Ymir not being able to die as easily in the early game is nice. I kind of see him the same way I see like Izanami and Sylve, where like they're these duo clear characters who kind of don't care about the changes that much, so their laning phase is really nice. I'm just going to put him like around where like the Sylve Terra range is. He's just a like fine character. Nothing crazy, not too bad. His early game is pretty good. His siege is pretty good. His mid game is pretty rough at times, but early game good, late game good. That's good enough. Zeus is like what Opwash... Like, Zeus wishes he was Opwash, but he's not good enough to live up to the potential of Opwash. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't build Bumbas well. He doesn't drop corpses. He doesn't have 100% anti-heal. He isn't clean with it. But he's still a good character, so we'll put him pretty high in B. But yeah, moral of the story, he's not as nice with it. I'm going to put him and Yamoja, I think, are like teetering this line of like A, B, that type of stuff. Zhang Kui, busted character. We all know it. I know it. You know it. Everybody knows it. OP character. Tanky boy, good laner, really good solo laner, potentially. He's nice with it. And there you go. That is the tier list, ladies and gentlemen. And something you might notice in this tier list is that you see a lot of hunters pretty high right here, don't you? A lot of hunters pretty high. And yes, we are going to get Daji right now. In fact, we are going to screenshot this. Here we go. And Daji goes right here. Daji. Yep, perfect writing. Daji here. Yep, that's an E. That's an R. That's an A. Daji is here. Right here. Insert a text box. I don't know how that stuff works, to be honest with you. So there she is. That's the tier list. I can actually do a roles tier list really quick if you guys want. Let me actually reset this. Hell yeah, dude. Description. Smite roles. Cover photo. I can't do any of this. Is this hard? Hunters, mages, assassins, guardians, warriors. That's actually the tier list right there, if you want. There you go. That's all you need. Why go through the tier list when I can just label it? Hunters are the best, and then mages, and then assassins, and then guardians, and then warriors. Simple. Too easy. And that's the patch, ladies and gentlemen. That's the whole patch. Hunters are broken. In fact, let me actually skip this a little bit. I'm going to do... You know what? It's hunters, other hunters, mages... Wait. Some assassins, mages, and guardians. The rest of the above, warriors. There you go. That's the tier list for roles. So there you go.